Tell us, why did almost every publisher reject Tuesdays with Morrie?
Well, you know, you have to remember in 1995, it wasn't as common a theme as it is now. There have been a lot of Tuesdays with Morrie sort of books after Tuesdays with Morrie became what it did, but I can't say I blame them. You know, I was a sports writer. I'd never written a book like that before. My two books that I had written were both about a basketball team and a football coach. And here I am coming in telling them, you know, I'm sitting with a dying old professor, and you know, I just wanted to pay his medical bills, so we were just looking to get enough money to pay his bills. It wasn't like we were trying to, you know, rock the industry. And not everybody turned it down. A lot of places did. One publisher, who shall remain nameless because he might have relatives in this room, but he actually told me while I was telling him the story of Morrie Schwartz dying, he stopped me and he said, don't bother continuing. You know, we're not going to take it. I don't think you even know what a memoir is. Why don't you come back in 20 years and maybe you'll be capable of writing a memoir. I don't know how he knew that about me because he'd never met me before or anything, but I must have been so bad in the room that he actually just cut me down the side.
But this same exact story is played out over time. J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter being rejected by every publisher. Why does it still rear its ugly head?
Because industry and art are not always a comfortable fit. Industry wants predictability, and industry wants to take what's known, market it, and make more money off it the next time around. Industry isn't in the business of taking chances. And so when you have a right turn or a left turn and something comes along, it takes a certain kind of vision to see it. There always tends to be one person who does, the one person who said, J.K. Rowling, yeah, let's give her a little money. You know, that person turned out to be pretty smart. My publisher now was one of the people who actually did believe in Tuesdays with Morrie early on, and we weren't able to work it out with her company. But 20 plus years later, or almost 20 years later, our paths crossed again, and I couldn't be happier that, you know, I never forgot that she liked Tuesdays with Morrie and wanted it because so many people didn't. So there are people who see stuff ahead of time, but for the most part, you play it safe. And you know, Tony Bennett told me a story that he's repeated often, I've repeated on his behalf often, that he was with Duke Ellington when a phone call came, or somebody came to visit him from Columbia Records, and they said that they were dropping him from the label. And Duke Ellington said, why are you dropping me from the label? And they said, well, Duke, you know, truth is you don't sell enough records. And he said, I think you have something backwards here. I'm supposed to make the records. You're supposed to sell the records. And you know, that lack of understanding of the difference between what art is and what commerce is frequently lead to people walking away from something that requires a little, you know, chance taking. And that's why. And Tuesdays with Morrie required chance taking. And you know, it wasn't, Tuesdays with Morrie didn't come out of the box like some kind of hit. I mean, they printed 20,000 copies, and we all thought that that was going to be the end of it. I thought I'd have them in the trunk of my car the rest of my life, you know. I'd be that guy who pulls up and says, I got your Christmas present right here. So it grew, and you know, I have to be honest with you, I don't think Tuesdays with Morrie would have succeeded today. Because what happened back in 1997 was people read it and passed it on. And there was a plethora at the time of small bookstores and independent bookstores and places like that where you could go in and people said, you got to read this, you got to read this. And it grew very, very gradually but slowly. It came out in August of 1997. It didn't get on the bestsellers list until October or November, and at the very bottom. Now, today, if your book comes out in August, your history by November. You know, you're already off the shelves. They've made room for something else. And it didn't get to #1 of the bestsellers list until April of the following year. Now, that's like an eternity today. But you could do that because people talked about books and they passed them on. They gave them to people. Today, it's like in the box stores, out the box stores, on top of Amazon, off the top of Amazon. So what you end up with is kind of the blockbuster syndrome that you have in the movies, too. If it has the word Avengers in it, chances are, you know, people are going to see it. But other than that, you've got to fight.